till yesterday. Good morning. Till yesterday, we were uh, we were checking on the you know we were checking on the access control modifiers, right? So default, public, when private and protected. Okay. So what exactly these things does, and how the access has been prevented or prohibited, when we are using these access control modifiers, which we discussed last week. So sorry, yeah, in the last class. Okay, so now we'll continue on the same things. Okay, so the next topic is constructor. Okay, so what is a constructor, right? A constructor is a method which has the same name as a class. Okay, so what exactly a constructor does, right? A constructor does, it constructs its own class object. Okay, so if you see here the example, the public class learning constructor, and the method name is also same as learning constructor. So that means, like, this is this particular element is called, sorry, this particular method name, whatever you are saying, it is called as constructor. Okay, so in a class, actually, there is one default constructor. Okay, so whenever we have the same name as class name, and if it is not taking any of the parameters into it, so we call it as a default constructor. And as I mentioned, constructors are often referred to a special types of methods in Java. Every class has a constructor, so a constructor constructs its own class, and constructors are not considered the member of the class. Okay, so the simply, whenever we are creating, yeah, so if we do not write any constructor, okay, in a class, okay, the compiler writes on one for us. I know that it is called as a default constructor, and it is inserted when we are doing code compilation. Okay, so but if we write a constructor, the default constructor is never created. Okay, so every time an instance of an object is created, okay, whenever the constructor is called. Okay, so that's an example, like, whenever, if you want to create an object, we right, we write a syntax saying that with the class name starting, we'll start with class name, and then object name is equals to, there's a new operator that we use it, to create an object new, and then the complete class name with parenthesis, right, open and close, then semicolon. So after new, you're actually calling a constructor, to construct that object, right? So that is where, our default constructor is coming into the picture. Okay, yeah, that is where the default constructor is going to be coming. So every time, that's why, every time an instance of a class created, that, you have to imagine that internally a constructor has been called, to create for that object. Okay, so so if a constructor, in the what exactly we do other things, in the constructor, right? A constructor is used to provide the initial values of the class fields. Okay, so when an object created, okay, so if you wanted to have some initial values, for your for some of the variables that which you have used in the class, so you can use them. Okay, you can assign them in the constructor. And just like other method, a constructor may or may not have the method parameters. So if we have method parameters for a constructor, we call it as a parameterized constructor. Okay, so it looks something like this. uh Example we are taking it, actually, this is one of the example for a default constructor. And whenever an object call, right, object created, okay, on this, so you are going to see the system out println every time whenever we try to create an object. Okay, yeah, so simply, if we go back to the template. Okay, so if you see here, uh, this is one of the class which we have created for some other purpose. But I'll just show you something. Okay, so when we have a constructor, so what exactly it is going to do, right? So I have a constructor, public void default access. Okay, so I'm just writing system dot out dot println. Constructor called. Okay, so let's see, and okay, okay, so use df1, df2, df3. Okay, so one, two, and this is three. Okay, so just saving it and let's try to run this. Okay, so it Java. Default access. Yeah, let me go back to the PPT once. Just a minute. Okay, so 1 second, let me share it back. So I was just sharing only the yeah. Yeah, I was just sharing only the PPT. So actually I was writing some code. Okay. So let me share it again. Yeah. So here is the thing. I'm just sharing it. Okay. Default access. Okay. So if you see here, right, whenever we create an object of, the default access class, okay, so it is getting created. Okay. So the object is getting, sorry, the constructor is getting called, okay, for each and every object creation, we were seeing that object is getting called, sorry, the constructor is default constructor is getting called, right? So that is how, that's what we were discussing just now about the constructor. Okay. So, so here is the constructor output. Okay. And if you, yeah, so these are how a constructor without parameter works, right? Let's say, let's explore how can we initialize the class members, okay, using a constructor. For this, we will need to use a, parameterized constructor. So here, so here is how, like, what we use it, the right side, you can see it. There is a couple of, okay. So there are a couple of class variables. Okay, we can see there is name and type, and we are using the same constructor with the parameters. Okay, string, new name, and new type. Okay, so whenever you are trying to add something on the constructor, okay, so let's say if you have already a default constructor, you wanted to add one more extra constructor, right, with some string name. Okay, so here we are doing constructor overloading, right? So let's see an example of this string name. Okay, so what we're going to do in the string name constructor, this dot name is equals to name. Okay, so I'm gonna print here constructor called param, and we are going to print, sorry, this dot name. Okay, so let's change something. Okay, so default access, and this dot name. Okay, yeah. So the first time, we are going to use the default constructor, and the second one, we are going to use the parameterized constructor. So I'm gonna do like this. Okay, so and this one, hello. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, so Java default access. Yeah. So if you see here, for the default constructor, the value, whatever we are trying to print it in the message. So this dot name will always null. Okay. So this is the constructor called. Okay. And I can just do something like this for easy understanding. Default. Yeah. So this should be easy, right? So let's see how it does. Java default access. Yeah. So default constructor called, and this is a message, and we are just printing null, right? So second. Yeah. Okay. So make it very easy. So just wanted to try to execute one more time. Java default access. Okay. So if you see here, we have the default constructor called, okay, for the first object creation, and it printed df.message. So this dot name is null because there is no instantiation happen, or there is no value passed for the string name, so it did not assign anything. But when I call the parameters constructor with some name, so param constructor has been called. Okay, and whenever the message I'm using, whenever I'm calling the message, and the using that message method, so it is printing the name, right? So the same way, again, the default constructor called, and it did not instantiate anything, the value for name, and it printed null. And then we have parametric constructor, so it printed the value of it. So this is where the difference, like, if you wanted to add a default value for your class variables, that, you can utilize, parameterized constructor, to to initialize those values, for the class variables. Okay, so let's go back to the PPT. Okay, so this is the example which we are talking about, about the parameterized constructors. Okay, so yeah, the same way, I have a couple of examples over here. So how we are going to, pass the values, for them, and we are just writing a display method to display those things, the values, whatever we pass it through the, parameterized constructor. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah. Okay, so yesterday, yeah, we stopped it here, and yesterday, we just went through only the theory, so that's why, I have written that example for the constructor and the parameterized constructor. So yeah, that is where, I was trying to explain, and now it is a new topic, which is called as inheritance. Okay, so inheritance is nothing but, like, just getting your you know all the features, from the parent class, okay, to a child class. Okay, so it is similar, like, the genetics that we get it from our parents, to ourselves. Okay, so then, if you are looking similar to your father or mother, that means, like, we are getting we got some features, from them, and we were looking exactly as same as, our parents, right? So that is where actually inheritance. Okay, so inheritance is when a class derives some properties from another class. Okay, we call it as inheritance. Okay, so just like human beings inherit features from their parents. Okay, so the class which inherits the properties is known as a child class, and whoever giving that right, to us. Okay, so we call that as a parent class. Okay, and so how, in a syntactical way, when we are trying to get the property from one class to another class, so how it does, right? We are going to use a keyword called extends. So if you see here, there's a parent class and it has some body, and there is a child class that we are trying to extend, the parent class. Okay, so a child class inherits all the members of the parent class when we using that extends keyword. Okay, so an object created of the type child class can be used to access all the parent, members. Okay, so yeah, 1 second. Yeah, so what happens, right? So whenever you create an object of child class, okay, so it automatically have access to all the parent class methods. Okay, so and when it comes to the constructor, right? Okay, so the constructor is never inherited. Okay, so it is always different constructors for the parent class, and it is different for the child class. Okay, so okay, so how exactly, we are going to inherit a class one class to another, right? So this is where, I have a couple of classes over here, and one is another class, and another one, the other class is main. Okay, so the main extends another class, right? So we have add method over there in the main, and we don't have any methods in the actually in the, class main. Okay, so we are just writing public static void main in the main class, and I'm creating a main object. Okay, so when I create the main object, so that means, as we already extending, all the properties from another class to main. So the main object, is capable enough to call the add method which is there in the parent class. So that's what we have done it here. So object one dot add 3 comma 5. So it actually, uh, it is going to print, the sum of those two numbers, right? So the value of, the output of program, is 8. Okay, so inheritance, actually it's not a single one. Okay, so it has some type of inheritance. Okay, so one is single inheritance and the other one is multi-level, and there is a hierarchical. So first one, we already saw the single inheritance just now. Just one class is extending another class. Okay, so that is called a single inheritance. Okay, and let's see an example for that. Okay, so just okay. So I have not had any classes. Okay, one second. First program. Yeah, so I can do one thing. Okay, so just write one more class on the top. Okay, public class parent. Okay, parent, and I'm just gonna write something. Public void print method. So this is going to print system dot sorry dot out dot println. Okay, so what I'm gonna print? Parent class method. Okay, so I'm just going to extend parent. Okay, and just writing one more extra method. So sorry, one more extra line. First program fp is equals to new first program, and whenever you call fp dot print, it should print the parent class method. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's see how it works. What it is saying. Okay. Mhm. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. One second. Let me just rename it back. Okay. To first program and first program. PROG RAM, right? Yeah. Let it be like this. And I'm gonna just remove public for this. Okay. Yeah. Just run it now. Yep. Okay. And Java first program Okay, so this is what first actually it is going to call this hello world my first program, and it is calling the parent class method, right? So print ln. Okay, so we'll use this one, and let's try to run it again one more time. Java first program. Okay, so the parent class method has been called. So the other way, like, we were just extending the parent, to the first program, and we are just creating the value of, sorry, we are utilizing the methods, whatever we have it in the print, right? So if you have something, right, some string name is equals to some test. Okay, so this is also the parent object, right? It is there in the parent, parent class. Okay, so you can also use that, you know that variable, whatever we have it in the parent. Okay, so it can be accessible in the class, sorry, in the child class, right? So just add this name, and I'm gonna call name, right? fp dot name. Okay, so just try to run it one more time, and let's see if it is accessible or not. Okay, so Java first program, yep, name is test. Okay, so I'm just gonna write something, single inheritance. Okay, example. Okay, so let's save it. Okay, so that's what this is the one, which we're talking about, single inheritance. And if I go back to the PPT, one second. Yeah, so this is our single inheritance child class and the parent class. So from a parent class, actually the child class is going to be extends, the properties from parent. Okay, so this is what we have done just now. And we'll check on the multi-level inheritance. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write one more extra class on the same similar kind of program. So one second, so I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to copy this. Okay, so just create a new one. Multi-level in here. Okay, I'll just gonna put multi-level. That's it. Okay, so that will be easy for me to call in the Java. Okay, so multi-level. Okay, so I'm just going to write one more extra class on top of it. Okay, string address. Okay, and print address. Okay, address. Okay, and what I'm gonna do, instead of writing parent, I'm just going to write it as top parent. Okay, and which is going to extend top parent. Okay. And from here, it is going to extend the parent. So yeah, so it looks like okay, sorry, what is this? Okay, so now what we are doing, right? We were just extending this top parent to parent, and we are extending this parent to the child class, whatever we are saying first program, right? So I'm just going to change this, okay, because I have the class name changed, multi level. Okay, so the same way I need to create an object of it, multi-level and multi-level. Okay, multi-level inheritance. Okay, multi-level inherit. Okay, so so let me go back. Okay, so this is name, and I'm just giving some address to just make sure. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, we have two methods. Okay, so this is print address. Okay, so I'm just going to add something, print address. Okay, so FP name, we were just utilizing it, and so FP dot print address is one of the method that I'm going to call, and the second one is we wanted to utilize the class variable. Okay, and FP dot address. Okay, so this is how we can do it, and we can also utilize the top parent class, methods, and also the variables, whatever it is having the class level variables in the top here as well. Okay, in this parent also, you can just create an object of parent, and you can access these things. But as we are into the multi-level, so I just wanted to show you this extends will continue till the child class. Okay, so let's run this and see how it works, right? Okay, so there are some mhm. Parent. Okay, once again. 1 second, just a minute. I just wanted to run this. Just working. Okay, I got it. 1 second, just a minute. Okay. Second, parent, and just let me remove this. Okay. Now, parent. Okay. Yeah. Java multi-level. Okay. So if you see here, so the multi-level class is the child class of, the M parent, and, M parent is the child class of top parent, right? So the top parent, we have, address, and we have print address methods, we were utilizing, which was extended to this M parent, and, from M parent, actually those things are extended, those properties are extended to multi-level class as well, because, it is extending the M parent, right? So when we try to call, when we create an object of multi-level, okay, so with this FP, I'm this class will be having access to call FP print, and also it will be having access to call, you know FP print address, which is the top level class, top parent class, which we have it on this, right? Okay, so that's why, we were able to print the first one, parent class method, and we are getting the name, and the other one is address, ADDR, we are getting it, and the name is this one, right? So we're able to call. So this is what the multi-level inheritance. So if you are going to extend this multi-level, right, like, you can still extend this multi-level class to some more child classes, and, you can still continue this change, which we call it as multi-level inheritance. Okay. So similarly, we have hierarchical inheritance also, like here. So we will be having one parent class, and we'll be having, more than one child class. Okay. So it looks something like this, class A is our parent. Okay. So actually, my battery is down, I don't have power. So it seems I need to, like, once it stops, I need to stop it actually. Okay. So I'll just go through this hierarchical inheritance, and, we'll stop for today. Okay. So quickly, I'm going to create that program. 1 second before that, I just, yeah. Okay, so let me go back quickly, to the multi-level. I'm just copying. Yeah, I'm just copying this and creating a new one. Hi. Okay. Java. Okay, so I'm just going to make this as H parent, and this is going to be H child 1, and it is going to extend the parent here, and I'm going to remove all this. Yeah. Okay, so hierarchy I extends h parent again. We're going to extend the same class. Okay, so and I'm gonna create an object of hierarchy here. So I'm just using that fp.print print address, right? So I'm not going to use this print method no more. Okay, so yeah, so same way you have to create the same thing and just undergoing this multi-level inheritance. Okay, so for the head child, okay, so let me do that. And this is our head child. Okay, and fp.print address, correct? Oh, okay, one second. I'm sorry. So this has to be written under public static void main.